room. The only way to start your day. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's now 7 minutes after 8 o'clock, and this is the situation you this morning with Dennis and Ndu. And if you're just getting in, our live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook, and on X, and our audience on KTN Karibu. Many people across the country, the region, and indeed the world as we get into conversations that we should. We're taking an outlook, rather a look into what things are looking like in the nation. Of course, taking a political skew towards all of this, but we're going to do it because it's necessary. The spaces where we're operating in are highly politically charged at the moment. Even as we get into that, let's talk this morning, shall we? Thank you for tuning in, and as we continue, we ask you to be part of this conversation. Coming off a place of inspiration, and Rose and Jerry asks us all this morning what it is that you're doing in the little station in which you are in. How are you contributing to the success of your people and your nation? Dr. Martin Aloy is an advocate of the High Court, and he joins us this morning. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Lou. How are you?
Very well. How are you doing?
I'm great. Great. I've been up since, I don't want to tell you what time.
Even before the rooster crowed.
I'm very well.
You woke up the rooster.
Thank you.
This is good.
I don't wait for it to wake me up.
It's fantastic. Thank you for being here this morning. You'll soon be in the good company of the Senator for the Republic of Kenya from the county of Murang'a, Joe Newto. He will join us in a bit as we look into this conversation. And even as we do that, I'd like to talk to you about the folks who are coming in from Togo. Mm-hmm. The capital of Togo is Lomé, and it's a strip of a country that is bordered on this side by the Benin Republic and on the other side by Ghana. And the proverb that we share this morning comes from them, and this is what they essentially say for us to remember. And we'd love to get your interpretation of it. Mm-hmm. A child does not laugh at the ugliness of its mother. A child does not laugh at the ugliness of its mother.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely right. In other words, the mother cannot possibly be ugly in the eyes of the child, and therefore laughter is not even an issue. If you appreciate what you appreciate, it matters not what others think about it. Yes.
Right? Doesn't matter what others think. It's yours, isn't it?
Yeah, yours.
Fantastic. All right. So like I said, this conversation becomes... it takes front and center stage as we get into the first week proper of October. And we're about 2 months towards the mini elections, the by-elections that will be taking place for certain constituencies around the country. Many have called them a litmus test of what will happen in 2027, and essentially who rules the roost. And many things are being said. There are many declarations. Most recently, we did hear the president say, you know what, I keep hearing everybody talk about how things are going bad, but nobody's offering me solutions. Nobody's telling me that this is what they would do, having been given the opportunity. I believe the last time he said this was Friday, Saturday, and in a public announcement where he said, you know what? No, come on, guys. Everybody's talking about how terrible it is. Everybody's talking about how I shouldn't or I didn't. But I don't see them telling me what they would do if being given the chance. Is he right?
I don't think he's right, and I don't think he's serious.
Oh, okay.
You see, when you are a president of a country, you need to be open to hearing people's views. But every time he's told things are not good, he's telling us that he's praying to God to open our eyes, because everything is okay. It's just that the problem is our eyes. So therefore, he's not capable of listening to us. And maybe, unless something is stirring up in his hornet, I think he's still not yet ready to listen to us. If I was in his shoes, I should actually agree that things are bad. And I should therefore invite people or invite technocrats or invite everybody who cares. I tell you, look, I've told him that when the young people are saying they want to talk to you, make time and they talk to you and listen to them. So when Kenyans are telling him, SHA is not working, education is not working, let me ask you, where have you had a school term begin and it's about to end this October, and capitation has not been disbursed. When? We've not seen that before. So those are things that affect ordinary Kenyans. Kenyans whose children can't go to school, who will feel it. In fact, I wish he covered some of the things because then not so many people would hear. But if a local person in the village is feeling the pinch, the capitation has not been paid for his or her child, then it can only be that everybody is feeling something somewhere. So it's not health, it's not education, it's not the economy, it's not they tell us, oh, the dollar is doing better than when they found it.
Yeah, come on.
Wait a minute.
Some of the things that he's telling us, can they be disproven? He said, you know what, 2.5 years ago, the dollar was at 160 shillings. $1 to 160 shillings. He's also come out and said that, reserves are at 10 billion Kenya shillings. He's reserves. Was it $10 billion? Cool. Is it dollars? Anyway, yeah, dollars. $10 billion in terms of reserves for Kenya. He said, we've sorted out this housing thing. People are owning houses. They've never owned them before. You'll allow me to finish the list before you laugh. He said, we have a robust. In fact, just this last week, we have a robust education system. Incomparable to many in the world. Our health system is phenomenal. I went to New York and they told me that such things don't exist in many countries around the world. I'm paraphrasing, but this is what he said. Is it possible that you can believe this and it's different from the situation that's on the ground? What would be wrong?
You see, the beauty is that he's saying that he went to New York and he was told. But when he comes to Kenya, he says, you people are complaining. So if he wants to listen to people in New York, that's a different story. Let him listen to the people who feel it. I don't know which education he's talking about because I hope we know that the lecturers in public universities are paralyzed right now.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
Yeah? Primary schools are paralyzed right now. There's no money. So I don't know which education we're talking about. So if you're talking about SHA, I can only hear scandals. I can only hear ghost hospitals being paid. So again, we don't hear people saying, look, it's better. I mean, in fact, people think NHIF was working. They don't even know why it was turned off or it was changed. So again, it's a question of not being in sync with the rest of us. Maybe he's enjoying in his ivory tower there and everything's working. But everything's working for him. The power doesn't go out. Water supply doesn't go out. So he's okay. But the rest of Kenyans are suffering with the power outages, suffering with shortages, roads that are not working. The other day there was some small rain here and a number of people were not able to get to their houses. So those are our usual problems. So he is free to think differently from us, but he should also allow us to think differently from him, because certainly what we are feeling and what he's feeling are two different things.
There's something that he's consistently said, and that keeps speaking my mind. And just a follow-up to what Undu was asked. So, on several occasions, the president has said, look, now when we're talking about matters of the economy, we need to live within our means. That's one. Then there is the reality of what they found in the bank accounts. There was no money. There was mismanagement. Then regarding the scandals that we keep hearing from Shah and the rest, and what all these are exposing, is because he's put systems in place that are now highlighting what was already going on and what has been going on. So it doesn't necessarily reflect the fact that it is his administration's failure. It is as the systems are then telling us, look, this is how money was being siphoned. This is, with the case of Shah, it's very impractical then to figure out, okay, how then do you excuse that? Because there was no Shah. He's the one who brought in Shah. But generally speaking, that's what he's been saying. And he's saying, look, I will take the risk of not being popular, but fix this country. So to him, this is the risk.
I hear you, but I also don't agree with what I'm hearing in terms of the challenges. It's not true that there are systems in place any different from what they were. EACC is still the same. It's just that now transparency, of course, with the 2010 constitution are things that you can't take away from Kenyans. Having said that, what we want, perhaps, to him to understand is that it's not about what he says, it's what translates on the ground. Because if things are working well, even he should be the last person to say anything, because he should be telling people, you come, tell me, are you able to access this? Are you able to get services whenever you approach a county hospital or whatever? The point is that if we're talking about counties are starved of resources. Some counties have not even paid their salaries for the last 3-4 months. And you can't blame them. You blame the fact that they are not getting capitation, they're not getting their fair share of the budget and so on. So at the end of it all, what we are saying is that he will talk about what he thinks is happening. But we will also keep telling him that, no, where we are sitting, things are not that good. And he had better hear until he knows that actually we were saying it, but he was not hearing it. Because at the end of the day, he is somewhere where he believes everything is okay. He must keep on hearing others saying, wait a minute. It is not what you think it is or what you believe it is. And having said that, of course, the president also should be the one who steps back a bit and listens to advice, but I don't think that is one thing that he consumes well. Like
he's surrounded by advisors. Yes. I mean, we have an entire
and
group
there are
of
many.
folks.
In fact, there are more than the cabinet ministers.
Yeah, there's 24 if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, but I don't think he consumes that advice. No, you don't see the evidence that this advice being generated and is being consumed.
Or could it also be like probably there's always this argument that you get to that seat of power and the people who surround you then control what you're hearing? Could it also be a case of, fine, you have these advisors, but they're actually not telling you the truth? So he's being misled.
It can not this guy, not this president. No, not this president. No. This guy is sharp. He's present. This man is not. I mean, there's nothing you can say that this president is being misled about. No, he's present. He's with it. He's in control. He's in charge. No doubt about it. The point being you're making is this: that if you look at Shah is his own idea. If you look at affordable housing, those are his ideas.
No. They're carry on from the Big Four agenda. Big Four agenda had universal health care coverage. Big Four agenda had housing as one of the tenets, one of the Big Four.
I keep telling people that President Ruto hasn't just happened in Kenya. He was the deputy president of this country. You can't tell me that what Uhuru was doing, he didn't know. No. He's been around that public space for a while. So he knows what is good for us and what is not good for us. So it depends on what he wants to. Again, he has blamed the previous regime for things. Even this one, let him blame them for sure, but he's the one who has implemented it. At least that's what we know. Affordable housing, we know that the previous regime never managed to build a single house. They had lofty plans, but they never did it. He has done it. So whatever the case, let him own what is happening. I'm not sure he's disowning it. What we just want him to know is that perhaps he needs to have a sense that what he believes is happening and what Kenyans are saying are at variance. And that's a good idea, because even he needs to learn so that he can be able to listen or to change. But that's if he wants to change or if he believes he's on the wrong path. But I can tell you for sure that the president believes he's in the right path and he's pursuing it without any breaks. And that's fine, because he says he's ready to be unpopular, whatever it means. He's also ready to defend himself in 2027. So he knows what he's doing.
But I'm confused. I'm genuinely confused, Doc.
Yes.
The children who will not sit exams, for example, for lack of money, there are many in Kenya today. They always make a part of the statistic after the results of when the cabinet secretary comes and makes announcements of results. There is a number of students who for some reason or another are ungraded, and they're ungraded for several reasons. Either they were sick or they did not pay or something, but they're all lumped up into that category of ungraded. You can't tell me that you can't see that's currently happening. The number of people who would want to go to hospital but they can't do that because they don't have money. You can't tell me that you are unaware of that situation. So you can't, or that you can't see that. there's time for PR, and I think we all have an element of PR in us. We want to do something, so I give you a top layer appearance that everything is okay. But there's a time where the truth will knock the wind out of you. And it is not conjured, it is not make-believe, it's the truth of the situation. And I often say that no government has any business doing anything outside of ensuring that the livelihood of its people are protected first. Then you can go on to these other grand and lofty ideas or things. Is it possible that these things are not seen? These advisors that we speak about, or these folks who keep fanning the flame, singing the choruses in the choir, even though they sing, even if they fan, is it not clear what is happening?
It's not clear, or if it's clear, people who are close to the issues choose to ignore that clarity. But as I was listening to you, I keep going back to the philosophers, and I keep thinking about the purpose of government. And what you've just said, Machiavelli would have been very happy if he saw our president, because he is really the epitome of what Machiavelli advised. And remember, Machiavelli's advice to leaders was they should not always do what people want, but they should appear to be doing what people want. And therefore, if you say you are, if they tell you they're religious, you appear to be religious, but be far from religion, as it were. So when you're looking at some of these developments, you need to look at them as choices that people make. Whether you are, in the US and you're looking at Trump, or whether in this country and you're looking at our president, they're making choices and they're deciding to ride on a certain horse, and they want to ride on it. Whether people are with them or not, it does not matter, because they have some end that they want to achieve, and the means to it does not matter. So for me, it's a question of, does he have an agenda? Does he believe? And I think he does. He believes that there's somewhere he wants to take this country. Is he taking it there? Of course, everything he's saying is targeted and is on purpose in terms of what he wants. But is it the best thing for this country? The results that we are seeing are questioning that. I mean, if you take the issue of affordable housing, it's a lofty good idea. But who cares? People here are about basics. Yeah, they're not about, I need a house. They're asking you, just make sure that my children can go to school. Just make sure that I'm able to have a facility. They're telling you we can even learn under a tree, but just make sure we have books and make sure we have teachers. So there are things that we must pursue. If you tell people in Northeast and you want to build for them schools, permanent schools, that is a good idea. But they are saying we are nomadic. We want to move. You just make sure that every time we move, we are able to have access to education, we are able to have access to textbooks and teachers and so on. So at the end of the day, are we context specific? Are we able to meet our people at their point of need, or are we having a lofty idea that is not working? The other day I saw a quote from the president saying that he went to Japan and he was wondering why things work in Japan. Now you say he went to New York and he was told things that, no, please. Don't tell us about Japan, things work for them. Don't tell us about New York, things work for them. What does it mean for us here? Are things working for us?
Those are good questions that we can now throw in the direction of the Senator for the Republic of Kenya from the county of Murang'a. John Yuto is here at 8:25. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning. Mm-hmm. And sorry, I got caught up in traffic. I didn't know that that the bypass can be nasty in the morning. But anyway, I thank God that I'm here. They say better late than never.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad that you're here, because we're taking a look at what's happening around the country, and that unfortunately quite too many things are happening for us to then only be focused on the politics of the day. But then one particular question, and we started out the same question for Dr. Olo this morning, and then also then coming in your direction, that we're asking, okay, well, there's been a lot of criticism of President William Ruto's government. There have been many things that have been said, but he's come out over the last couple of days and he said, you know what? Everybody's been castigating and criticizing about the work that we do, or saying that we don't do enough. But I've never heard anybody give or offer the solutions or a way in which they would do things differently. Senator?
Thank you. That's a very good question. But The first thing I would want to say is that President Ruto is not the first president of Kenya. There have been, 4 presidents before him. And I think for me, if I were him, the question I would ask myself is, why is criticism of my government, my policies at that very high level in only about 3 years since I was sworn in? But that having been said and done, it's important that we put it clear that, when people go for elections, they have different manifestos. You are only able to implement your manifesto once you are elected. And so President Ruto cannot tell those criticizing him to say what they would do or how they would do things differently. But anyway, ideas have been there, and those of us that belong to that side that opposes him have said that we have many ideas. We have said that if, for example, we want to revamp the economy, to make money circulation, come back again. We would, for example, want to pay the pending bills, because this is what is tying a lot of money that is, would ideally be circulating in the country. We have said that there's a problem with affordable housing. And we have said that this is a program and a project that has raided Kenyans, especially payslip holders, a lot of money, through a housing levy. And President Ruto did not market affordable housing as one that was going to be brought about by a levy. Because you remember at one time he said that this particular idea was very progressive and good, and that if you did not want to get a house, after about 5 years, then you could be able to recap your savings. But then it turned out that what was passed in Parliament was a housing levy, not a housing fund. Now a levy is a tax. And so those of us on this other side, we are saying that we are going to abolish a housing levy.
Okay.
And the housing levy. And anyway, we also have an idea. What we can do about this affordable housing is, fine, we cannot go back. The houses that we have been able to construct so far, well and good. Can we now use the proceeds that we will get there? Because remember, these houses are for sale.
Right.
Can we be able to use these proceeds now to put up the next phase without taxing Kenyans? Can we abolish this housing levy now and to make it a revolving fund, that what we have, we will be able to get from the sale of the houses that we have been able to put up so far. Then we can use the same, and that continues now after we sell and build new houses. We have said, for example, that abductions and killings are something that we would stop immediately.
But is it all on him? And I'm going to ask this question with an example.
Yes.
Senator.
Yes.
Your colleagues.
Yes.
Just a couple of days ago, your colleagues in the Senate, in the Oversight Board, were in Kakamega.
Yes.
Senator Boni Khalwale,
Yes.
Senator Winfred Aboti, the chairman of that committee, they were all in Kakamega. And we see this White Elephant project. It is easily the largest proposed hospital in Kenya. It's bigger than Kenyatta National Hospital. Bigger in terms of size. It's a monstrosity of a project. But you know what? It's already looking like it might lie fallow. Billions of shillings has been thrown into that project. Senators were asking questions about what's happening here. The thing has already started to be vandalized. And the people who are paying money, the people who are receiving the money for payment of these projects are unable to answer questions as per where did money go. Unable to say the hundreds of millions of shillings that have been put into this project down the drain. And also Senator Richard Onyonka was there as well. So the question comes to mind that we keep saying you set the tone from the top, right? There's so many things that seem to be going. Easily billions of shillings have gone into that hospital, which could serve the people of Kakamega County as well as neighboring counties. That's just one example. Such a thing where we see billions that could go towards making things work. Do we send it back to the president and say, you see, this is what's happening under your watch? Mind you, a project that started while Governor Oparanya was the governor of the county. So we put a lot back to the president, but look at all these other things that happen maybe when his finger is not there, or is it actually there?
Well, we cannot excuse anybody for corruption. And we know that there's corruption in counties. But that does not make, our criticism of President Ruto does not, give the governors and county governments, a blank check to corrupt. We are condemning corruption. But even in counties and other government departments. But you know what? The biggest chunk of the national, GDP, if you may, the national cake, remains at the center, which is the national government.
Okay.
And most of the policies affecting, if you talk about hospitals, for example, the example you're giving in Kakamega, fine, that's about, putting up the structures and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, SHA, which is President Ruto's, I would say, project. At the end of the day, we have many problems, so that even the counties that are not, engaging in this kind of that level of corruption, genuine claims, I can tell you, are not being paid by SHA. Which is why, for example, RUFA has suspended, services in the hospitals for patients covered under SHA. So at the end of the day, we have to look at the bigger picture. Because again, you see, once counties put up these hospitals, at the end of the day, SHA will still have, being the national health cover for many people, will still have to be called out to pay, genuine claims. Because it's a very funny situation that we find ourselves in, that genuine claims are not being paid, while actually fraudulent and fictitious claims have been paid. And we know that we have lost about 10 billion. And you know what again? The whistleblowers about that corruption have now actually even not been shortlisted for the jobs. Meaning that there is protection from the top. That's not about counties. So what we are saying is, where corruption happens at counties, we are going to condemn it. And everybody should be brought to book. But we must remember that the biggest percentage remains at the national government level. And that's why most of the criticism is leveled on President Ruto. And remember, it's not just about development. When you're talking about human rights, how many counties are violating human rights? How many county askaris, for example, have killed people or abducted people? When we are talking about the economy generally, if you ask counties, why have you not settled your pending bills? They'll tell you that that disbursement is yet to happen from the treasury. So at the end of the day, most of the problems that bedevil this country can be directly attributed to the center, which is the national government.
I have a question, and it's to both of you, but I'll start with Dr. Olo. What Senator is saying, is it a case, and I'm just trying I'm trying to look at something here. So there's a report that was released by the ESCC, and this report is about the fertilizer scandal. And what is now emerging is that, so what the report then is revealing is details of how cartels scuttled cheap fertilizer plan. So here's a government that comes in and says, look, we are keen on looking at the issues of farmers. And one of the issues is fertilizer. There's the question of subsidies and all that. But let us see how we can fix this. So the government goes ahead and has this ambitious plan of fertilizer subsidy program, which again, like the SHA we're talking about, is the centerpiece of President William Ruto's bottom-up economic transformation agenda. So what is then revealed here is that it was hijacked by cartels and unscrupulous traders who exploited. Now, our attention here is exploiting loopholes in the system. So, as it was rolled out, what ESCC is saying is that because of weak systems, it opened the door for manipulation, fraud, and supply of substandard fertilizer that left thousands of farmers exposed. So are we dealing with an issue where you have a good government plan, you're trying to set up a system in place, but because, like what former president said the other day, you're bringing in something that has not been tried and tested, then it opens up room for these cartels and people, corrupt individuals, then to exploit the system And then at the end of the day, it then waters down the essence of why we were coming up with this great fertilizer subsidy program. Is this a classic example rolling into now other areas where we are seeing it may not necessarily be the issue that right from the start the intention was not good, but the systems.
This is fertilizer. We have not talked about the oil, where our good friend Moses Kuria was the cabinet secretary. Generally, what you are saying is that there is a typical way in which things are happening in this regime. Businessmen are sitting where decisions are being made, or their proxies are sitting where the decisions are being made. So as soon as decisions have been made, they have information and they can therefore procure or access resources and access those tenders. So what happened in fertilizer, again, somebody paid, Mythical Inturi paid for it, was not a very distant thing from the inside of government. No. This is people who knew what was happening. These are people who were part of the, the decision making, and eventually were also part of the importation. A few of their friends messed them up, yes, by now mixing this with other things. But the point is that if you wanted to supply fertilizer, there are enough channels in this country, including the National Cereals and Produce Board, a parastatal that is open. There are enough farmers' cooperatives around that can deal with that. So KTD, and there are many. So, and one would have said, and maybe let me make this point, that farming is one of those bedrocks of Rift Valley. And I would have thought that the president would be the first person to make sure that farmers, especially in Rift Valley, get fertilizer and get produce out there and actually build the bread basket. And that would be expected of anybody. When Kibaki was in power, one of the things he did was to help coffee farmers, tea farmers, because he knew these were his people who had an economy to run. So I would have thought that in this case you'd say, okay, maize farming is very important. I will make sure fertilizer reaches the people and actually people make money by boosting their production. That never happened. It was the biggest shame that where your people are actually very interested, you would not care enough to make sure that they can actually have genuine fertilizer so that they can genuinely produce and then also sell their goods for a better price. So here is, you don't want to blame it. And let's face this, Dennis and Mashimohi. A business person seeing a business opportunity will always go for it. So if you say there are loopholes, and I've seen it, I'll take it. It's like a football match. You don't score against a wall of people. You look for that opportunity where you can pass the goal. So business people were okay. If government systems were not in place, take advantage of them. They are businessmen. They are not askaris. They are not systems guardians. But I don't think that in this case we are talking about business people. You are simply talking about people inside helping people outside to access tenders and to make money. Some who have no record. We have seen companies that have been registered today. They have been given tenders tomorrow, and they are supplying hot air. They're even being paid before they supply. So we've seen that happen in this country. And it's a shame, because what we are doing is not even business. They are simply pilferage. They are simply corruption.
So, Senator, is the system rigged from the very onset?
Yeah, we have problems with systems in this country. And I know we are talking about fertilizer for this case, but if I take you back a bit, you remember that we procured a system, the SHA system, at a cost of 104 billion. This is a system that cannot be able to detect the loss of about 10 billion Kenya shillings. So, but when you look at it, what does it mean? I mean, why was it brought about in the first place? It was brought about because somebody somewhere was interested in the 104 billion. And we have had IT experts tell us that we could have been able to procure that system at something, at a cost of under 1 billion. And so we need to ask ourselves, I mean, why do we have these loopholes? And when they're there, are they deliberately there? Because I think, like Dr. is saying, I mean, why have we not seen prosecution in this particular case of fertilizer? Business people exploiting those loopholes. And who are they? And why I want to contend that there is prevention, protection from the top. And I've given you an example of is it one Rotich, who was a whistleblower at Shah, and now they will not be given a job. So you could find, I have not read that story, but you could find that this case of business people exploiting the loopholes in the distribution of fertilizer is kind of the same thing, that there are people who are protected, people who have connections at the top. Because like the good Dr. Hari is saying, I mean, we have systems.
So are these business people, sorry to interrupt, are these business people, just to follow your train of thought?
Yes.
Because I just brought this up as a point of entry to look at a question of loopholes then and weaknesses within a system that has been set. And we're seeing this in education. We have dealt with ghost schools, where a lot of money has gone to schools that do not exist.
Yes.
You find a school is supposed to be here, but it's a bush. We are seeing the same thing with hospitals. We are seeing money going into hospitals that do not, again, either exist or do not even offer the kind of services that the money then is getting to the accounts for. We are seeing this in agriculture. So we're trying then to raise a question here of, you're seeing the different areas, institutions and industries that are affected, where you have technology, you've got systems in place. In the example of this fertilizer conversation, there was the digital registration of farmers under the Kenya Integrated Agricultural Management Information System. And for some reason, we always have these very big, wordy terminologies to describe these systems, and they cost a lot of millions and billions. But is it one systemic? And when you talk about business, because I was trying to follow your train of thought on this, are we having people, like Olo was saying, people are sitting somewhere where these decisions are being made, and so you have people who are in business, in education, who have an interest in health, who have an interest in agriculture, and other sectors just waiting and timing for these things to be set up, and then they're making money through the back channels.
Yeah, it's a case of, bending the rules. The systems are there, Dennis. You have mentioned education, for example. Why would a school that is not non-existent, for example, receive capitation? I mean, before a school is registered, because I want to believe that any school that receives capitation is registered by the Ministry of Education. Before it is registered, and because this is my area, I understand it very well. I mean, there has to be an inspection report from the county, director of quality and assurance. Quality and assurance standards officer. I mean, there is an inspection, and an inspection report also made by the public health officer in the county. And then the CEB, currently, that is the County Education Board, will sit down and approve registration of such a school. So if there is a particular school, for example, that is reported to have received fraudulently any capitation, then you have officers you can bring to book immediately. I mean, yes. Okay. Where is the director of education in the county? Do you know this school? Why, I mean, who registered this school? I mean, systems are there. But the problem is, if I'm the director of education in Murang'a County, and I know that a particular non-existent school is receiving capitation fraudulently, but I know it is associated with somebody who is very high, he is connected at very high levels, I will not speak. Because if I do, just like Rotich, the whistleblower, then I could also end up losing my job.
Or lose your life.
Or even my life.
Okay. So
and that is the problem. Protection from high up, high up there.
Okay, so then one would ask the question, because I find myself wondering often that we go over this all the time. I mean, close your eyes and stick a finger in the wind and you would land on something that is an issue. And yet, we have a body of 67, 47 each at the county, 20 nominated senators whose essential job it is to do this thing that we're talking about. To oversight and to ensure that either a precedent is set and that we don't see this kind of criminality that we speak of. I still go back to Kakamega because the pictures are so clear in my mind. And one of the things that Senator Muma, who's also there, said, she said, you know what? that she talked about systems in place to ensure, and then there must be a chain of command, and that we're here to find out who it was. But then finding out who it was, beyond that, means that we're going to call people out, and people must answer, and that people must bear the responsibility. But Senator Newton, we don't see these things happening, unfortunately. We see the sitting of the Public Accounts Committee of the Senate every week, sitting, talking to governor after governor after governor. And then we complain about the same things day after day after day.
Yes.
Is there a fear, the fear that you speak of, for people to whistle blow or to actually make people accountable? Is there a fear from this top that you've also alluded to that stops that very job for which people are elected from being done?
What happens in Parliament, for example? I mean, and we do investigations, and you have cited a good example of the County Public Accounts Committee and sometimes County Public Investments Committee, sitting, even inviting governors to come and, explain some, expenditure and many things that happen, especially following reports of the Auditor General and the Control Budget. Mm-hmm. But you see, Parliament can only make recommendations. Parliament cannot, for example, prosecute somebody. Mm-hmm. So once we make recommendations, for example, once we realize that there was a corrupt dealing somewhere in the county or in any particular county, we make recommendations. But then it's incumbent upon now EACC to see to it that such lawbreakers are prosecuted. So the problem is we make our recommendations as Senate or as Parliament, but then the implementation part of it now lies in other
so
offices.
And if that never happens, we go into this endless cycle where we say set the tone from the top. There are institutions that have been put in place to protect it. It doesn't happen. We go into another year where billions of shillings are lost. Not lost, because in order for something to be lost, somebody must have moved it. Somebody is involved in this.
Yeah.
We even know the individuals. We accuse them. In a political arena, we talk about them. But for some reason, brick and mortar doesn't allow us, or fear. I'm going to go with the fear because it seems that seems to be the thing that precludes these things from being wrapped up. It doesn't happen, Senator. It doesn't happen. Nobody has been prosecuted. Even the people who've been prosecuted and sentenced are running for parliament and being elected.
Yes, it's quite frustrating, and I understand actually that frustration, and we also get very frustrated. But then I think we also have somewhere a problem also at the judiciary. Because at the end of the day, I mean, even those with the prosecutorial powers or those who can take people to court, I mean, at the end of the day, you take them to court. I mean, you have no power to determine the bail terms that they are going to receive. That then lies with the judiciary. And then, sometimes to determine, to hear and make a determination about a case, sometimes it takes ages. So that even those that are really following it up, if you, for example, you're talking about parliamentarians, some of these cases could outlast or outlive even some members of parliament who had that particular matter. So I think it's something that we also need to discuss and to persuade the judiciary also first to see to it that these cases are dealt with promptly, and that we also look at, we do not want to tell the judiciary what to do because it's independent. But sometimes you, as a layman, legally, I mean, Dr. Law will tell you, I mean, somebody facing charges of having corrupted hundreds of millions, getting bail terms of about 2 million. I mean, that does not discourage, it's not a deterrent at all. Does not discourage anybody who has such plans. Otherwise, if I have no morals, and I know once I steal 200 million, the bail terms will be about only 2 million.
I'll save the money for
I'll see. Yeah. So
tell us, I want to ask a question here, because here we are and we're saying that we're going in this endless cycle, and it's easy to blame the president. I think so. It's great. It's great target practice. But look at these cases that we speak of today. And there are things that are happening, and under the cover of daylight, as it were. There's no darkness here. It's happening in broad daylight, and it seems to be allowed. It's an endless cycle of impunity, corruption, and the president is easy target, which, many would say in some cases it is accepted blame. or necessary blame. But it seems as though there is something else that stops this thing from being desystemized. There's a fox in the henhouse.
You see, he ended up on a good note, particularly when you say, what is our morality here? I mean, if thieving is not punishable enough, if I'm not going to be ostracized for stealing, if I'm going to be elected and people know I am a thief, then we should not blame ourselves. We should just accept that we are at a point where we don't know what is wrong from what is right. Because how many people today have holding offices whose track record could be questioned, including even academic, they have forged academic papers. What kind of theft would you be talking about? So we are saying that we are also as a society at a point where we are the lowest in terms of our own accountability, in terms of how we hold each other to account and so on. The ordinary Kenyan is not to blame.
Okay.
The president is not the only one to be blamed for ourselves. In fact, he's also part of us in terms of he reflects us as well. So what we should be saying is that, and I want to tell Mheshimiwa that, again, we've said in our constitution that bail is a right. So it really depends on how you argue a case, but you should be given, remember, you're still innocent until you go through the process.
Right.
And you're right, some of these processes take longer and so on. But at some times also, and I don't know about the case of Kakamega, but I know a number of cases where people have shouted wolf. There's a case I was involved in, involving some public entity, where an investor went and took a loan, built, and it's reported that the government lost money, and the people are prosecuted until several years later, the case is dropped. Useless, malicious prosecution. That has also happened. Sometimes we shout wolf when there's no wolf, so that when actually the wolf is around, it ends up doing the damage that we had not anticipated. So I think that as a country, we have a lot of things to do. Yes, the judiciary can be called to be stronger. Yes, the practice can be called to be better. Yes, the people who are investigating and deciding whether to charge or not should also do a better job. But again, it's not for want of laws and want of institutions in this country. I think we have enough. ESEC, DCI, I don't know who, everybody's including a parliament and so on. Where is our commitment to ensure that we do not allow wrongs to continue unpunished? If I was the president, I would not be complaining that people are blaming me. I would say, look, I caught one, I fixed one case here. Look, here it is, the fellow is behind bar. Okay, about those cases up and apart, it's still here and there. I hope that people can also feel that there is a situation where somebody who has actually been caught in this can also forfeit their whatever. So it's a good case somewhere there. There are a few sporadic things here and there, but we need more of them so that we can see it, that it is punishment. And no, it is wrong. You will be penalized for violating.
But Dr. there was a time in this country where if a court pronounced itself over a matter, and if the story is splashed in the dailies or it's reported in the news, or you actually attend court and you hear that a magistrate or a judge is sitting and they're giving a ruling over an issue or even a court order, they were very respected, and there was this fear that if you would try to avoid in all circumstances to go to courts. But today it almost feels like actually the court is the go-to place. Let's wrap everything up. Let's just go to court, because it almost feels like if you hear the court pronouncing itself and maybe even issuing an order. This morning, I was reading a story, and we've been talking about this, where a court will issue an order, and people will not care to follow. They don't respect the court anymore. People don't follow court orders. We've even had people in government who served in the previous government, I don't want to mention names, where they were publicly quoted saying, look, there are too many court orders that are coming into my office. I don't have time to read all of them. As a matter of fact, I throw them in the dustbin. This is a court order thrown into a dustbin.
And I know that, and perhaps let's also call a spade a spade.
Yes.
I think the Ruto regime began a process that is taking us down the line. Because during Kibaki's time, we never had any court order, or even during Moi. And by the way, Moi, for all that you can criticize him for, he never disobeyed the law. If he had a problem, he changed the law. like Section 2A. He changed it. So for all that he did, he ruled by the law, not necessarily rule of law. But when you say the court order is not what you want to put in the dustbin, that is a wrong message. Because what you are saying is that you are above the law, which is not the case. We are all under the law, whether the president, who, every one of us should be able, and that's how order is created, that's how prosperity is assured. I know we're running out of time. Wishima should say something on this also.
Thank you. But talking about respect for judicial officers and the orders that they sometimes issue, I think for me it's a double-edged sword. That sometimes most of these judicial officers, and I hope they don't keep grudges. Sometimes also the way they behave. I looked at, for example, and forgive me for bringing this around. I mean, when the deputy president Rigathi Gachagua was impeached, and he went to court. I mean, there was a long case. I'm not a lawyer, but a long case. You know, because they wanted. I mean, Rigathi Gachagua wanted the judges to recuse themselves for some reasons, but these judges insisted on staying on, and at the end of the day gave a ruling that was not favorable to him. I'm not saying that they were supposed to give a ruling that was favorable to him, but surely for me as a citizen, I would be like, if somebody thinks that they do not want me to hear their case, even if they have no reason for it, I'm not the only judicial officer.
Right.
Surely,
someone else.
from a moral standpoint, and to show and prove to everybody that I'm not biased. If you do not want me to hear your case, sincerely speaking, why would I insist on hearing your case and at the end of the day give a judgment that is not favorable? I mean, legally we may not be able to challenge that, but morally, and you know, you will be. I mean, so when such judges now give orders, I mean, you feel persuaded as a common mwananchi to think that this is not a fair order. And so I think judges also need to rise above some petty issues like that. But then I agree totally with and associate myself fully with the sentiments by Dr. Olo that nobody should ever disregard a court order. Even if you feel that it was not given in your favor or issued in your favor, then of course we know that there are the legal remedies. You can go to a higher court and maybe challenge them, but we cannot under any situation excuse defiance of court orders in any way. But just allow me to say something before we exit from that. That the back, we have been talking about things that are happening and why do we blame the president? The buck stops with the president. In fact, I can tell you, because I've been privileged to sit through most of the impeachment proceedings in the Senate. Any governor who is impeached is not impeached because of their direct involvement in some of the things that happen at the counties. It is because they were not able to take action against errant county employees, be they CEOs, CCMs, and that kind of thing. So the President Ruto and any other president who comes after him anyway will not escape the failures, system failures, or corruption by their officers, because they are supposed to take action against those officers. And coming back to protection of people who are corrupt at that high level, and why we have this, what disappoints you, that we keep singing this song, it's because, I protect you. Because I think, allow me to say, anytime the president or his deputy go dishing out cash in big amounts of money, we should ask ourselves questions. Because I want to believe that these people who are doing corruption and are protected, it's because they have been told, please see what you can do, because we need about 50 million for this week. So there is a parastatal here, there's another one there, because where does this money come from? And yes, and so anytime, and we are agreed that the best president so far in Kenya has been Mwai Kibaki, at least in our lifetime. Some of us may not understand what Kenyatta did, but we are agreed, all of us, including anybody, those in government, those in the opposition, agree that President Kibaki was the president ever. Now, Kibaki never gave anybody cash. I mean,
And still
Not
managed
and
to
the people
survive.
are not even entertained
Not even
to
from
visit.
Nyeri.
Not even from
You have
Nyeri.
good the bank.
So I think I would want to tell Kenyans, when you see a president, giving out cash, and it is always in cash, never in check, never in
You
check.
must ask.
It is a pointer that the president is excusing corruption somewhere and is a beneficiary. He's telling people somewhere, I need 20 million, you get me some 30 million there. And when I'm told, if I'm a parastatal head, to make sure the president gets about 20 million to give in Harambes over the weekend, I will not steal 20 million. I'll steal even 100. And then the president will not point. I mean, yes. So it is very important that the president stops, and his deputy, giving out cash. Otherwise, that's a pointer. Let people have programs that are there in the constitution, well budgeted for in the national budget, and corruption will be arrested if you do those.
He's Senator from Murang'a County. It's John Nyoto in the presence also of Dr. Martin Olo. Thank you both for being here for this. Conversation. It doesn't end, isn't it?
It doesn't end.
There's a lot of work that still needs to be done, but we're glad to have the conversations with you this morning at 9:03. Good morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In a world drowning in half-truths, in whispers that must